here, answer whatever questions about their grade level?
Yeah, Harper, I'd text her, Antone and Alan will be on here at 12:10. 12:10 they'll be on here.
And we're live. Just went.
Hey. That's right. Thanks, Ms. Poe. Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Kevin Maxwell, principal of David T. Howard Middle School, and we are, I think, entering or just ending here our 5th week. And so we just want to touch base with all of you right now and answer any questions that you may have. I know that there might be more questions from having conversations with what that second 9 weeks looks like. And I know a lot of you, I'm sure, listened to the town hall yesterday. We as a staff listened to town hall at 4 o'clock with the staff, and then town hall at 6 o'clock with the community. And obviously working through all of these, and we're not going to be able to answer all of these questions. I think there's definitely some items that we still don't know yet, but to try to answer as many questions as possible. Also, we thought about when to have our first lunch and learn. We felt like the virtual learning was going really well, and we were obviously communicating from my announcements and through Remind, and then from the grade levels. And so we backed it up a little bit because we felt like we even thought about last Friday, but we thought, well, this Friday we might be able to answer some more questions as we enter into the second 9 weeks. And just as a time to pause and tell you that, once we start getting some more answers and you have more questions, then the next Lunch and Learn, and I'm sure the next Lunch and Learn will not be at the end of October, but it will be in the next couple weeks as we know more. And so the first thing that we want to do is we're going to introduce a few people, and then there's some other staff who will be on a little bit later here in a few minutes. But we do have Ms. Shonda Beatles, who is our school business manager, and she'll be able to ask or answer any questions that you may have. And then we have Ms. Tanisha Poe, who is our instructional technology specialist, and she'll talk about technology. Ms. Beatles may talk about operations. We also have Ms. Hall Washington here. She is our special education lead teacher, and she may be able to answer some questions if I can't on focusing on special education. We also will have our assistant principals here. Miss Antone in 6th grade, Miss Allen in 7th grade, and Dr. Harper in 8th grade. They're actually at another meeting right now, and then we'll jump on here in a few minutes. So the first thing we're going to do is and the last person I'm going to introduce, last but not least, is Mr. Ian Irwin, who is the PTO president, and we are in need of discussing some things, and you'll be able to help us through the PTO with a couple of links. And so Mr. Irwin is going to have the floor right now and talk about the PTO.
Thanks, Dr. Maxwell. Good afternoon, everyone. If you are not a member of the PTO, I want to strongly encourage you to join. We do a lot of great things supporting our students and our teachers and our administration, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. So please go to the Howard website, find the PTO link, and it's very easy to sign up and become a member. We'd love to have you. If you are a member of the PTO already, then I'd like to direct you to the link to sign in so we can have an official record of PTO members at this one. Sign in on that one link, and then we have a second link to deal with some business we need to attend to today. We had a member of our executive board retire over the summer. Her daughter ended up going to another school, and Allison Dorfler has kindly stepped up to take her part as our VP of Communications and doing a great job of that. But for her to officially serve in this capacity, we need to have her approved and added as an official member of the board. So that's the business we need to attend to. So that second link, once you've signed in on that first link, please click the second link, and vote to add Allison to our board. And that's the only PTO business today.
Okay. And Ms. Poe, are you sending those links on the YouTube? I just want to make sure on the YouTube chat.
Yes, Miss Hall Washington is kind enough to post those links for me, and she's posting those inside the YouTube chat right now. You guys should see them in just a moment.
So that's just so you don't have to type all that out. You can just click on those, both those links. And if you could do that for us, that would be great. Allison has been so great for us to step in, and this has been very helpful to all of us as we're communicating. All of us are communicating virtually right now. Okay, so general updates. I'm going to hit a few updates, but then I know we have received some questions and some issues that have popped up, and so that we can have some conversations in and around that. Also, you will see, we'll talk about advisory and connections, even though that could be general updates. We'll talk about that and have a particular slide, a slide focused on that. And so just first of all, how, virtual school. I do want to say that the staff, I just want to commend the staff on how well they have done. Remember, I'm just thinking, and we've talked about this, is that with the staff, is that this is the first time we've done this. It was more of a triage at the end of last year, and obviously just trying to support everyone and working on the end of the year as well as we could. But the beginning of the year is different because a lot of new material that needs to be taught. And also what I think is one of the most difficult things is that not having not being face-to-face to build relationships, is building relationships online. And I think that, our staff could not have done a better job of making this happen as we are in the middle of the first 9 weeks. And we have learned a lot. Obviously, they had to go from Google Meet to Zoom, and we have to, for instance, that's just one example that we had to do. But I felt like overall, I would give us an A. And I know that doesn't mean that we cannot get better, and that we can try to be even more supportive to our community. But just our staff, our teachers are really working very hard in all of this. And I just want to thank them for that as we get started. And then also a question I think that came up, but I was going to talk about this, is leveling. Leveling is something that we don't know exactly when I say leveling, because you might be new to Atlanta Public Schools, but you have a projected enrollment the year before. The year before you get that projected enrollment for the next calendar year. Then you look at your enrollment within the first 10 or 15 days. And depending on if it's higher or lower, you could either gain or lose funding. And so it seems like that they haven't landed on exactly what will look like on how much money you would lose or how much money you would gain. But for us, it's good news. Whether they want to, or whether they can, whether Atlanta Public Schools can give us more funding, but our enrollment, our projected enrollment was 1,177. And as of right now, we have 1,188 students. So we're 11 students over our projected enrollment. And no matter what exactly happens with schools who do not have that enrollment, that's we don't have to worry about that we have the enrollment right now, and then we may gain some more funding, and we need to buy equipment in our weight room and artwork, and I've talked about that before, I think in my last Lunch and Learn, but we could definitely use that money. But so that's good news as far as leveling. Other updates would be that I just want to shout to Miss Redmond. Miss Redmond is a special education lead teacher, not lead teacher, a special education IRR teacher in 7th grade, actually Miss Washington's partner last year. And she has stepped up and working with all of the new teachers to David T. Howard, and she was a new teacher last year, and she said, things went well with how you orientate us, but I think it could get better. And I'd like to take this on, especially in this virtual world. And I felt like she needs to be recognized, because I really feel because of all of us, but especially her, that our new teachers feel like they are part of David T. Howard, even though we are virtual. And I just want to give a shout out to her. And I see that we have some other leadership team members here. And so just want to recognize that Miss Antone, our 6th grade assistant principal, she is here. Our 7th grade assistant principal, Miss Allen, and our 8th grade assistant principal, Dr. Harper. So thank you for joining us. And I think we're ready for the next slide. So advisory, I'm going to talk about advisory, and then I'll have some of the other leadership team members jump in. But I will say advisory, we felt like whether we were face-to-face or virtual, we wanted to have this advisory period and have it at the same time throughout the day for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. To not only obviously think it's more important as we are trying to build relationships and try to talk about social and emotional learning, but we also are using this as an intervention period, as where we're going to look at students who may need some more help or some more support in different classes, because maybe they're not on grade level, or maybe they just didn't do well on the past assessments. But then also students that want to go beyond that, where they did well on different assessments, and then they can do what we call extension, so interventions and enrichment. I think I can't remember which E word that is, but Miss Allen will help me out here. It is that this advisory period is something that we are going to continue to do. That's a question also. As we go face to face, we will continue to do advisory, and so it's going to change a little bit. I know you have listened to my announcements, or I hope you have, and we've already done a dry run for Thursday and Friday, today or yesterday and today, and then we will continue with that on Monday. And so anything else that we might want to talk about at advisory leadership team?
Not so much. Hi guys, Miss Allen, 7th grade assistant principal, works with curriculum and instruction. No, but our teachers are very much excited to be able to find some time in the day that's not competing with their current grade level instruction to provide students some additional support. And as Dr. Maxwell mentioned, we know that some students have already mastered those on grade level skills. And so being able to go a little deeper with those kids and allow them to dive into some other skills beyond the grade level skills. And so we're excited about that. The teachers have been planning some lessons. We know that they're familiar with Flipgrid, but they'll do word clouds, and they will do Padlets, being able to chat with each other. So we think it's going to be a great thing.
Okay. And I am actually in charge of a class, and I have some 6th graders. And so it's really nice, and Miss Poe and I have talked about it, is sometimes when you're in leadership is that you are working with more adults, which is great, but you obviously got into education with working with kids, where you're focusing on that, and being able to work with students in that way has been really, really good, and a great sounding board also, as you listen to them and they kind of tell you how things are going. So that's about advisory. I'm going to pause here.
Dr. Maxwell, you have a question. It says, I heard they said will not start until
Ms. Beatles, we cannot hear you, and I don't know if somebody else has the.
Sure. It says, can we make advisory optional if students don't need extra support? It would be an opportunity to get off the screen during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. So no, advisory cannot be optional. There are multiple things that we're doing during advisory. So if we recall, the skills block time is proficiency and beyond. And so while some students are getting that additional support, other students, all of the other students, it's a place that we're still taking attendance. It is a scheduled class, but students will explore other skills. And so no, we do need all students. That is not optional. Thank you.
All right, so I think the next slide. Ms. Bo.
Okay, so that's me, technology
Okay.
updates, unless you want to start off, Dr. Maxwell.
No, go ahead,
Wanna
Ms. Bo.
Okay, so technology updates. We are aware that some of the machines have gotten old. Some of your students have had them since 6th grade. And so now, you know, there's not enough storage. They're having issues with all of that Zoom bandwidth. And so what we are doing is we're replacing machines by appointments on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the reason for the appointments is it actually takes a while to sign into the new machine and get the machine prepared for your student. And I'm taking that time because I don't want to hand the machine off to you and then you have to call back later because Zoom isn't working or anything. I like to make sure that when I hand the machine to you, it is ready for your student to directly go and start learning. So please, if you have any issues and you need to sign up and you need to get a new laptop, email me and please wait for the responding email to let you know what day your machine will be ready. We are socially distancing, so we are not in the building every day. Well, all of us aren't in the building every day. Someone's there, but we're on a staggered schedule. And so to make sure that it's safe for everyone and that you don't have to wait a long time, we just ask that you give us a heads up and we will let you know what day you can come and pick up a device for your student. But we are working to make sure that every student has a good working machine. In addition, we do have good news in that every one of our students will get a new device. Early next second semester is what we're thinking. Unfortunately, every year there is some type of wrench thrown into my plans of wonderful technology distribution. And last year it was tariffs and they were stuck in overseas. This year is COVID and they're not prepared for us. So there's a back order for the machines that we are getting, but we are anticipating early second semester that every single one of our students, no matter if they are 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, will be getting a new working machine. And so we're very excited about that rollout. And I think that's it for Zoom updates. Sorry, technology updates. Other than if you have issues, be sure to reach out. We do have virtual office hours and you can always email and we will work with your students to make sure that they get everything that they need.
Ms. Poe, you know, and you kind of said that at the end. That was one of the comments and a question about offering tech support hotline. And so you are doing that right now. And where would you find that link? I mean, I think it's on the website and some other places, but can you?
Sure. For the students, I have posted the link to my virtual office inside of their grade level Google Classrooms only because students will be coming to that. So I don't post that link out on the out for everyone to see, but the students can go into their 6th, 7th, or 8th grade RAM Google Classroom. It's titled virtual support and they can click on that link. Unfortunately, because I am in other meetings and everything throughout the day, what I've asked them to do is to send me a quick little email to let me know what time works for them. And so they schedule their own appointments and I go into my virtual office to offer support. I've had quite a few students meet me that way, and I feel like we've addressed all the issues. If there is another like major tech issue or hardware issue, there is also a link on our website for parents to complete a form to let me know to reach out to them one-on-one.
Thank you. And so the next slide is maybe about connections. Okay. So the connection schedule change. Do you want to talk a little bit about the schedule, Miss Allen, and then I want to have a conversation also around it.
Hi guys.
There is a question about the 7th grade start time too, if you'll address that, Miss Allen. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So through different conversation, from the teachers and the students, we wanted to, we're trying to be as effective as we can with the modifications of the virtual school or parameters of virtual school. And with that, we have now moved to do connections on an A-B schedule, which means, well, we talk about the present schedule. Currently, for the last 5 weeks, today being Friday, the 5th week, our students have been attending both connection classes 5 days a week. And at 30 minutes, you guys can imagine how fast that goes online. And so we, through that conversations, we've moved to an A-B. Now the students will go to connections A on Monday and Wednesday. They will go to connections B on Tuesday and Thursday. The class will be 50 minutes. And so if you put the math together, what you'll realize is that there's about 15 additional minutes once you take out 10 minutes and the 5-minute break that was most likely for transitioning between the two classes. And to keep the schedule as less affected as possible, we've opted to turn those 15 minutes into an additional break for your students. We know that the students need break. Again, someone just asked me, is there a way to get some time where kids can come off screen? And so we chose to let that 15-minute that we cut from what looks like cut from the connection into an additional break. And so if we look at that grade by grade, 6th grade, again, the start time of connections is the exact same time. I'm going to pull up my schedules here. So the 6th grade connection time still starts at 1:35, but now they'll get a bit of a break before office hours that starts at 2:45. 7th grade, their break starts at the start of the day. And so their first connection class starts at 9:30. Again, all of that is so that we don't have to change all of the core classes later below. When kids are in a rhythm, they know what time first class starts and second and third and fourth class starts. And so doing it this way allowed us to not have to make that changes to those classes. Then in 8th grade, their connection class starts at 11:15. 8th grade was the one place that you do see their two classes outside of the connections class, which is their blue core 3, their yellow core 4, that those classes are pushed down by 5 minutes. So we do ask 8th graders to adjust their alarm clocks so that they match up with the most correct time that we've now made effective for Monday, September the 28th.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. And though I sent that in my announcements, the new schedule. Also, they're in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classrooms, the student classrooms, that link with the new times. And, we felt like listening to the community, including our teachers. I spoke to all the connections teachers actually last week, and talking to students and listening to parents that have communicated is that, and I know when we make these kind of decisions that we land in different places as far as more screen time, less screen time, but we felt like that we could get more bang for our buck with the every other day in 50 minutes. We would lessen, so the times for them to be on screen, for students to be on screen would be less, but then we would gain some minutes actually of teaching, because the teachers, the connections teachers were really getting bogged down, or many of them, in attendance, right? The classes, instead of 40 minutes, they were 30 minutes. And some of our connections teachers, because of how it works out with connections, they might have 40 students, 50 students. Some of our music classes are up to 70 students, and it was really tough to take attendance every day. And then by the time they were getting less screen time, or less time to instruct. And so this is a way that they can take the attendance at the beginning and then actually have a class, every other day. And so that's something that we felt like was not only good because of that, but then the students would have less classes daily, which we felt like would be a good thing. And then some extra minutes of downtime between classes. And so that's why we have made this change, and that will start Monday. And before we go on, we will answer some questions I know that are in the chat. And then we had some questions actually before that we want to get to also. I think we have plenty of time. And, the question came up about how do we know what's happening in proficiency, like what are they are doing. And so that could be different, but that teacher will be talking to them about what will be being taught, or and they will communicate that. For instance, the connections teachers are focusing on college and career readiness, and they're going to have some engaging lessons around that. We're also giving some choice, and so some teachers, like if it's a social studies teachers, then they're going deeper into social studies, or a science teacher is going deeper into science. For instance, they might be talking about the Electoral College because those kind of questions are coming up. Or I know one teacher is reading a Shakespeare play. So anyway, it'll be different, but you can ask your son or daughter because it's a dry run, and we're starting just to build relationships with those students, because and many times they get to meet new teachers or meet new staff members, which I think is great also, especially when you go face to face, especially if you're a sixth grader and you're like, okay, as many adults that I can know, I want to know as I walk into this building. And so that's how that will be communicated.
And I just wanted to add that question may have also been gearing towards, it's as you guys know, we're all working from home. My 4-year-old has class at 12:30, and she was telling me it's time for class to start. But that parent may have also been just inquiring, how do you know if your child, is doing work to be proficient or doing work in extension? That teacher is communicating to the students that, what their purpose is, and their purpose at that time, either they should directly say, in this group, we're working to become proficient on the essential standards in math, if they're working in math, or in reading, in science, etc. Or they're saying, we're going to do some extension work, and our topic will be. So they will be communicating that, just as Dr. Maxwell said.
Okay. And so is the last slide, Ms. Poe, just feedback? Or is there something else? I'm sorry. Oh, next steps with virtual learning. Which is, I mean, we've received much feedback about what are those next steps, what's going to happen on October the 26th. And so, we know not everything right now, but because I know one for us is, when is middle school going to start? Are we going to start back face to face? Are we going to just start back in a hybrid model? And we're still having conversations around that. And so what we know on October the 26th is that we're going to have 2 regional classrooms that will be coming into our building. And so we have their special education students who will be there at our school on October the 26th. And so we know that the other students are pre-K to 2nd grade, which does not affect us. And so those are students in our 2 classrooms that will be in self-contained classrooms. And so I think one of the questions is, because it said special ed, are there any other special education students? So right now, those are those 2 regional classrooms, and that is it at this point. But I mean, I think they're still having conversations around that. And when I say they, central office, right? And so we are, Mr. Harness, Dr. Bachman, and I are on a principal task force, and we can give our feedback, and we've given our feedback at times. But right now, that's what's happening. I also think, to be as transparent as possible, they're having conversations around our ESOL students. So our students with a that have a second language. And so the ESOL students, they're still having some conversations around that. And that's something that we're going to look for maybe by October 5th, because October 5th is when the school board will vote on our next plan, our phase 2 plan. And do I feel like that we're going to be face to face at some point? Yes, I do. I'm optimist. But when is that date? And is it going to be hybrid, kind of like the pre-K to 2? I don't know that information right now. I do know, and I think it's a time to pause and talk about, because I think there was a question in there, and hopefully we're going to answer some of the questions and some of the feedback. We don't know what staff will be able to come back, right? And it's not about being willing, but being able to come back. They might have that some of our staff have pre-existing conditions. They have issues with daycare because their children are in a virtual model. And so there will be teachers who will not be able to come in the building, whether that is in October, in December, in January, whenever that is. And because I think the question is, and again, I've been on both town halls. I was actually in the special school board meeting and listening to some of the comments. And again, to be transparent is that, you know, whenever we come back face to face, whether that's hybrid or full face to face, your child may have a new teacher. They might have a new ELA teacher or a new math teacher because we know, and Miss Sky Duckett, our human resources person, said this pretty well, but basically we have to look at the staff, especially the teachers who are going to be able to come back and the teachers who are not. And then the students the parents who opt their students to come face to face or to be virtual. And then we have to match that up. And so we are at the beginning stages to think about that. And I'm not saying this to alarm anyone or any parents, but I just want to have that conversation and say, this is what we're starting to talk about. And we understand that that is important. And it's something that parents, because I felt like there was one part in the feedback that said, because that might be the decision on whether we go back to face-to-face or stay virtual, because maybe it's important that I want to make sure that my child is staying with the same teachers. So I need to know that first. And we're not able to say that. We're doing surveys right now. The principal's doing the survey all the way to the teachers, the paras, everybody in our building. We're doing a survey on if they're able to come back to face-to-face. And so that's the data that we will have pretty soon, very soon. We have about 85% of our staff who have already taken it, and then we get that information. And then the parents will be surveyed. And then we can figure that out. The thing that I want you to all know, the one, I guess, point that I would want you to all know is that we're going to be ready, whatever it is. Like, I felt like we were as ready as we could have been on March the 13th when we walked out of the building and we had to go virtual. I felt like we were as prepared as we could be as we started this year and where we are. And so once we know the parameters, once we know the guardrails of what we need to do and what is expected of us from central office, then we will be ready, and then we will communicate that to you. But we are not going to be able to have all the answers right now. And like I said at the onset, as I said that that we moved this lunch and learn back as far as we could in September, because now we're getting into October next week, as far as we can in September, because we wanted to try to give you as much information as possible. And the next lunch and learn, maybe next Friday or the Friday after, once we know more and that we can give you that information, that we all can plan together. Because the other thing I do know is why it has gone so well is because of the David T. Howard was the Inman, now the David T. Howard stakeholders, the community, that we all have come together, parents, students, businesses, staff, all of us, to do the very best for our children. And so we will continue to do that, and we will continue to work together. Now I'm going to go with the feedback. There might be some more questions, I understand, but I do want to just say something quickly, because I know we're more about, hey, these are questions I want to answer. We received a lot of compliments. We received so many, and we thank you for the feedback, because we want to hear both sides, right? The positive feedback and the feedback where we can improve. But I do want to pause and talk about one, and that would be with our deans. We have Miss Head in 6th grade, Mr. Smith in 7th, and Mr. Webb in 8th. And we created this dean position, and we did not have to spend any more money. Our budget didn't go up because we just moved some positions around to create this, because we felt like that we had just one person, one staff member working on all of our students who are 504. We also have the same person who did what called, I'm going to give you some initials, SST and RTI, which really means that students who need support behaviorally or academically. And we gave this to one person and it was too much, but we wanted to do it by grade level. And they have other duties, they have other responsibilities, but they also are working on, and also the counselors are working on the SST RTI. But from the 504 standpoint is we wanted to make sure that we were able to support those students at that grade level. So I think that those deans have helped with that. We saw just 2 compliments in the feedback about Ms. Head, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Webb. But then also with the 3 counselors, Ms. Schultz in 6th, Ms. Todman in 7th, and Ms. Martin in 8th grade, along with our assistant principals that I just recognized, that I introduced, is that we were creating this team. Because we talk about this school within the school, because we have every grade level, you'll see at David T. Howard, but we have every grade level on each level to make a school smaller. We also have teams of teachers, team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, and 6th grade to try to make it smaller. But then we had Miss Head, who is the restorative practice coach, and she's going up, she would have to go up 3 levels as being the restorative practice coach. Or, Miss Miles last year was the 504 SST RTI person. But what we're doing is making it smaller and getting to know 3 leaders at each grade level that can help out students and help out parents. And they have done so well, including this fall, reaching out to parents and to help parents. And so I just want to recognize them and recognize that you are giving us feedback saying, yes, this is what we needed. These leaders at each grade level are helping. Okay, so other questions or concerns, and hopefully I sent that to the leadership team so you can see some of those also. And I'm looking at the chat also and not seeing any other questions. I'm just going to pause and see if any. Yeah.
There are several. When is back to school night? And how does grading work if there is an in-class assignment if the technology isn't working for my child?
So I'll have somebody else take the in-class assignment, but from the, and I think that question was on the feedback, which is really good. I've said it a couple times and I will say it again, is we're going to have a back to school night once we're back to school face-to-face. Because we want to have an open house / back to school night, because we know we have not only students, but so many parents who want to be in the building and to get their first look at it. And so we haven't created a day because we want to kind of look at what does that look like, when are we going to go back face to face, and then we're going to create a day for a back to school / another open house that's not virtual. And so we're ready to do that. I'll let somebody else take the in-class assignment.
Okay, I will.
Yes, go Ms. Poe.
I will start with the first part, and then Ms. Allen, maybe for the second part. The first part was if the technology isn't working. If the technology is not working, please reach out to me via email. I'm going to make sure that my email is in the chat. And once you reach out to me via email, I will let you know when you can come to pick up a replacement device, which is on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 11 and 2, but by appointment. So once you email me, I will let you know what day your device will be ready for replacement. The other question to piggyback off of that was about hotspots. We have requested additional hotspots from the district. They have not been delivered as of yet. We placed an order about 2 weeks ago for roughly 100 or so, and they have not been sent to us. But as soon as they are sent to us, those that have requested hotspots that have not gotten them, we will let you know that you can come pick up your hotspots. But again, you have to reach out to us, well, to me, and let me know. And what I do is once you tell me, I either will be able to fix the issue over the phone or with a quick virtual meet, or I will let you know that I have to replace your machine. But in the meantime, I send an email to Ms. Granderson, who is over attendance, as well as your child's teachers, to let them know that there is an issue at hand, so that your child is not penalized for the absence. And now Ms. Allen's part.
Hi guys, in regards to grading, if that student's having some technology difficulties, the student, and really it's the parent, the guardian, should contact that teacher directly to inform the teacher of what the technology difficulties were, and if possible, document, provide documentation, if it's feasible. Sometimes kids can't log in, sometimes the computer crash. There's a myriad of reasons that could be technology. And so communicate directly with the teacher, document so you can let them know what the specific issue was. But in the standard average case, the teacher will allow that student to make up that assignment. So that is the plan, that teachers will allow the students to make up the assignment.
We have a question about can teachers meet their kids before we do a back to school night?
I didn't get that. I'm sorry. If somebody else did.
There's a
I'm
question
sorry.
in the chat. A few of the parents would like to meet the teachers before going back to school night. So they're asking, is there a way that they could virtually meet the teachers?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we can bring back to, we have a expanded leadership team, which is made up of our assistant principals, deans, counselors, but also our lead teachers about back to school night and to have a discussion around that. And then I can give you an answer through my Remind 101 and through the other social media outlets once we get that answer. But thank you for that feedback, and I will bring back that to our leadership team to discuss. I'm also kind of going through the questions in the feedback. I know one of them is about STAR, accelerated math results, that there's like a standard way to distribute those. And I think that we did send a link, Miss Allen, and I'm going to answer another question. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you have that link or you can talk about it. But before I can talk about 8th grade, there are some questions about homework. And, I'm going to make sure Dr. Harper is an 8th grade assistant principal, and I've given her that information so they can have a conversation around that. Miss Beatles was a former 8th grade teacher, and I remember last year she had a really good answer to that, because we do, in 8th grade, we do give out more homework, and I know that it's tough right now because it's virtual, because then it's more screen time. So I think we have to have a discussion around it. But what we are trying to do is that we are trying to get them prepared for high school. And when they go to Grady, there is more homework than not just 6th and 7th. 8th grade becomes more homework, but then they'll have more homework than what they have in 8th grade a lot of times. And so we're preparing them for that work. I mean, right now they're on a 4x4 schedule, but they used to have where it was 8 classes. And so when we only had 6 classes, 2 of those classes are connections classes, which usually not very much homework. And so we're just trying to prepare them for high school. And so that's why you'll see more homework, but we do have to look at it in a way to say that, are we giving out too much homework in the virtual world? So, I'll definitely have Dr. Harper bring that back to the 8th grade staff.
And hi guys, I can answer the question about STAR. So there is a website where you can get some information about your student's STAR score. It is their STAR reading scores particularly. We will, in a moment, I'll drop the link into that YouTube chat. It's called Home Connect. And I'll tell you the information that we are now aware of is that at any time a parent or student can log into the Home Connect. The username is, again, we'll share that as well, but the username is the student's ID number. I think it's 7 digits. Their password is their birthday, 6-digit birthday, month, day, year. So on the Home Connect website, the students can see their STAR reading score. They'll scroll down to the bottom. It's in the lower right-hand corner. Unfortunately, the STAR math score is not stationary on the website. However, this is what we are asking parents to do, and it's not unique to this lunch and learn right now. We will actually, when we get ready for our next school-wide STAR administration, we're going to have all of our students do this, but if you would like to do it in advance, you can. You will go to that Home Connect website, and on one of the tabs, it asks you to enter in your name and your email address. Once you've entered in your email address, then any and every time that your student has taken an assessment on STAR, you will be given an email. You will be sent an email with that student's report. That is how in the future we will get parents to get the STAR math score. It is something that we just learned about, even though we have been administering STAR for so many years. You know, no one, I mean, I communicate with customer service through chat and all of those wonderful things. No one has said, you know, here are the different things that you could do to get your STAR score, or the parents can get it. And so through us seeking this information out is when we learn about the steps, and then about the secondary steps or whatnot. So again, we will make sure that it's not select to those on here today, but that there's a school-wide process that will happen closer to the next STAR administration. The students will input their parents' email address so that they can get an email of their students' STAR scores. Additionally, for the last week and a half, we've just conducted student data conferences with teachers. And so every student at this point has a file called data conference, and they have inserted their own STAR math and STAR reading score. And they also have on slide 3 information about what they believe their personal strengths are and their opportunity to grow. And they've set some goals for this year. So one of the things, and now you guys know that the progress reports have just came out as of yesterday morning. And so, you know, we're going to be encouraging students to do some data conferences with you guys now that they've experienced them themselves. And you can also get some of that information from the students there. And so that answers the STAR question from Dr. Maxwell in that feedback, but then someone had said, you know, about the 6th grade STAR. So that's why you don't see at least the STAR math score, and that is also how you get to there. So again, I will be dropping the link into the YouTube chat in just a second.
And Miss Allen, I don't know if you said that or not, but I think that it's also powerful that they have a Google slide with that they could show the parents.
Yes, they have a Google slide through the data conference.
Yeah, so that, I think that's a nice part where you can see their goals, and we asked them some questions about goals for the school year.
Yes, and then there's a question that says, you know, all teachers aren't recording the virtual instruction. How can we ensure this is happening? We would like to clarify, it is not a district expectation that all teachers record their lessons and post their lessons. There are some teachers who have chosen to do this, but it is not an expectation. You could probably imagine the different security around that. And so it also made it a bit complex when we talked about student names and student faces for, you know, I know not every family has to deal with this, but we do have families who have different security issues for whatever reason. And to keep our children safe, the district did not make that a mandate. And so we do see that happening, that some teachers do record and post in Google Classroom. Again, it's just not a district-wide mandate. And so, but if you personally, not that you're requesting a video, but just need some additional support for your students, we do ask that you first start with the teacher and see what ideas or suggestions could come up between the two of you. And then if you need to add in either the counselor or the grade level dean or the assistant principal, for some additional support, then feel free to do that.
Okay. Other questions? I felt like there was another question that was coming up before I go back to the feedback.
Ms. Neal answered.
Ms. Beatles, can somebody else?
I got what she was saying. She said, I speak fluent Beatles. She said that Miss Neal answered the question that she was going to ask you that
About that
address. Yes.
Does anybody want to go over absence of leadership team about absences or tardies or the parent. I know we talked about the parent-teacher conference. I think that was a question.
Dr. Mac, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead.
There is a question that I just saw that I want to address really quickly. If you don't mind, I'm so sorry. Someone asked about the authentication process, and if that was the case, where do we talking about when it comes to security? Well, it's two different things. The authentication process, authentication process, I can't speak today, I'm sorry, process is to ensure that only our students are inside the Zoom classrooms and that strangers can't come in and post inappropriate content. The security issue that Miss Allen was referring to when it comes to the videos comes from when our students are in class. Remember, it is a learning environment. Sometimes our students struggle with certain tasks, and sometimes they might need additional supports in class that other students don't need. And so when we place that video out for everyone to see, we don't want that support that they required in class to now become an issue of ridicule or where they're being teased or taunted as to what they need or the services that they receive. So it's more of keeping a student's instructional needs private and personal as opposed to that the names, because we don't want anyone to know that Sally Smith is a slow reader, whereas someone else, John Smith, is a fast reader. I think that's more of the security issue that Miss Allen was referring to, as opposed to the part that where we're signing into Zoom that keeps them safe.
Yes, and we also have to keep in mind too, at the beginning of the year, normally our parents will let us know what kids can be filmed, photographed, or on video. And so that is also important to note.
Thank you, Ms. Antone. Dr. Harper, we have a question about the Infinite Campus Portal. It says, why are grades posting into term 2 versus term 1 on Infinite Campus Portal? I don't know if you knew that or it's changed.
The in progress grade will always show under term 2 because it is calculating the grade for the entire term. Once grades are posted, however, and we just posted on this week, you will see that fall into term 1 under progress. So the in progress grade will always show where the final grade will be posted at the end of a term. So that's either the end of the semester, or if it's a quarter class, it's the end of the quarter. That's how the grade book gets set, so that it is calculating cumulatively through the end of the term. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, that does. Okay. I do not want to forget about this question or about this statement for 7th grade parents, because actually I am a 7th grade parent and I had to do this today. And don't forget about immunizations. So if you do want to, when we go back face to face, that they have to get those shots, those 7th graders. So make sure they have that. I got a robocall from Miss Granderson, just like everyone else did, for the parents of 7th graders who did not have those immunizations. And there are some 6th and 8th graders too, but most of them are 7th grade students. And so I went to get those immunization shots today, even though I was not liked by my son that we had to do that. So other questions? Does anybody want to take the virtual parent teacher conference, Miss Antone, or I know we're not doing that, and just reasoning behind that? Or someone.
So, yeah, I think when we were face to face, we used to set up the conferences and from 4:30 to about 5:30, and we were able to set it up where parents came in at an assigned time, and we were able to work through that very well, very efficiently. And so we've been having talks around how to do that in the virtual setting and come up with the best way to do parent conferences. And so like I said, we have been in conversation around that, and really just trying to solidify the best way to do it. And right now, as progress reports have gone out, our teachers have been advised to go ahead and start making contact with those parents of the children who were not doing well, and reaching out to those parents. And so we will revisit the conversation in terms of parent conferences for all additional parents. And also don't, be afraid to reach out to those teachers as well if you have any questions, because we still have to make sure that we are communicating with all of our parents and making sure, that your needs are being addressed and any questions or concerns are being addressed as well.
Thanks, Ms. Antone. Any other questions, Ms. Hall Washington? I know you were looking at the questions.
None have come up so far.
Okay, and so I'm looking at the feedback, and I'm sorry, I know other leadership team members also are looking at it and making sure that we've answered everything. Teachers are encouraged to communicate through Remind. Now we have Remind for the district and through Google Classroom. Those are the two ways that teachers are communicating. Anything else? Okay. Well, it is 12:57, and we do want to have a couple of plugs. One is to the PTO, which is, I think the next screen is where you can sign up for the PTO, and you can scan the QR code. I'm sure most of you are members. And then also we have the foundation. And I do want to say, because I know PTO got to speak, and Kim Meyer, the president, she could not be here today, but just wanted to let you know, in addition to our PTO being an extremely important part of the David T. Howard community, our foundation is also a critical source of support for our teachers and students. The foundation performs as a long-term funding source, supporting technology initiatives, professional learning for our team, and curriculum enrichment not covered with the APS budget. The foundation purchased more than 500 Chromebooks over the last few years, thanks to the generous support of our many donors. And I just want to say that those are the same laptops that Ms. Poe is sending so that we continue to have working devices for every one of our 1,188 David T. Howard students. So, and we couldn't have done it without the foundation. Most recently, the foundation funded the renewal of IXL, which many of you have seen, BrainPop, Newsella, which are highly used online curriculum sources by our teachers and students. Now more than ever, our foundation needs support from families, alumni, and friends to fund initiatives that cultivate an equitable learning environment for all students and provide our teachers with the tools they need to facilitate a productive and dynamic classroom, virtual face-to-face. And like I've said before, through the foundation and PTO, we'll be asking one-time purchases as we go into this new building, where we need to put the finishing touches on just a beautiful historic building. So just consider donating today to support the middle school foundation, and then you can either find them on the website. We did have you have a place to scan, and donations of $250 or more, Kim Meyer wanted me to tell you by September 30th, you will receive a custom-made Rams t-shirt. So that is from Kim Meyer, but I'm so glad that I'm able to obviously say this, because we could not have, we would not be where we are without the PTO and the foundation support virtually at this time. And so I cannot believe it is 1 o'clock and that we are on time, 60 minutes. Like I said, we will be coming on, I'm almost guaranteed, definitely less than a month. So you will not see us on October the 25th or that Friday. You'll be seeing us in the next week or two once we have that information and we can start having conversations about next steps as we move into phase 2, and the next phase is as we go face to face. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you soon.